There's been another mass shooting in the United States, this time at an office complex in Orange, California. This is about southeast of Los Angeles. And the gunman killed 4 people, including one 9-year-old child. We do not have the identities of the victims quite yet. But what we do know is that police were able to detain the suspect, and there was some sort of fire, like shootout between the cops and the gunman. He was injured and then later sent to the hospital. This is now the third, mass shooting in just over 2 weeks. But there have, of course, been many, countless shootings throughout the country throughout this same period of time. Now, the suspect was also wounded and hospitalized. It was unclear whether he suffered a self-inflicted wound or was shot by police. And CNN had some more detail into what some of the residents in that area witnessed or heard as this shooting took place. Let's take a look.
At about dinner time last night, people started to hear the sound of gunfire, rapid gunfire. Shortly after that, police officers arriving, the sound of sirens. And then right after that, more gunfire. That gunfire, law enforcement tells us, was the exchange of gunshots between the officers, the first responding officers, and the suspect.
We also don't have a clear motive just yet, but what we do know is that the perpetrator here seems to have known the victims in the shooting. So one other pretty terrifying aspect of this story is that the Orange Police Lieutenant, Jennifer Amat, also revealed that the gunman had chained gates to the complex closed, forcing officers who responded Wednesday to engage him from outside. Police said the shooting involved the office suites of a company called United Homes, a mobile home brokerage. So Farron, I wanna bring you in to get your thoughts on this. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, I hate saying this, lately every time we cover a story that's similar to what we're talking about, but I feel numb at this point to the shootings because you just know what the outcome is gonna be. Nothing. I mean, this barely even got any attention.
Right, and unfortunately, that's kind of the way it is. Once we get back into the swing of it, I guess you would call it, which apparently is what's happening right now. We're just starting to see more and more and more of these. And somebody on Twitter brought up the other day, it was a great point, just the fact that as Americans, there's always a time when you've looked around where you are and thought to yourself, how would I get out? Where would I hide if something like that were to happen? And that resonated with me because that happens to me every time I go into a movie theater now. Those are thoughts that, a couple years ago, we probably wouldn't have had. But now you go somewhere and you start to think, well, what if something happened? Can I escape? Can I get out? Can I hide under this? And that's the reality we're living in because nobody does anything about any of this. I mean, we look at the NRA and we look at the corruption in that organization. And still, with as dysfunctional as they are, with as corrupt as they are, politicians are terrified to defy this agency. And a few years ago, the Sunlight Foundation pointed out that the NRA had like a 94% failure rate. I mean, essentially this group that is politically impotent and yet still instills so much fear in these politicians to the point where they would rather let us die than just say, hey, let's make it a little more stringent with the background check, something most Americans, including Republicans and NRA members, already support, but they won't even do it.
Right, exactly, and that shows you that this goes beyond the preferences of gun proponents, right? Because I've repeated this several times on the show. I'll repeat it again. I am not a proponent of banning guns. I'm not a proponent of taking guns away from law-abiding citizens. With that said, though, as with any other, object that can be used as a weapon that could actually cause irreparable harm to others, there are regulations, there are restrictions. When it comes to a vehicle, right? That's considered a lethal weapon in criminal cases where someone uses their car in a violent way. There are strict regulations about who can operate a vehicle. But when it comes to weapons like guns, I mean, something as simple as closing loopholes when it comes to these background checks, something that, as you mentioned, is popular, widely popular with Republicans and NRA members, gun owners. It doesn't end up really resonating with lawmakers because who are they beholden to, really? What is the NRA as an organization? Is the NRA really about advocacy that benefits the best interests of their own members? No, they represent the interests of gun manufacturers. That's it. Everything that we see in government that seems to make no sense, all you have to do is follow the paper trail and you'll see exactly what these lawmakers are interested in representing. You'll see what they're beholden to. So it doesn't even matter. We've seen it in so many different contexts, guys. We've seen it with mass shootings. We've seen it with extreme weather events that have been fueled by climate change. We've seen it in case after case after case. Money, profits, always come above people under the system that we're functioning under right now. That's it, that's it. Your life doesn't really matter. And so, look, Farron, I guess it's a little bit of an upside that people are finally waking up and realizing that concept of, I didn't expect this to happen to us in our little town, right? That's starting to change and people are starting to realize, okay, well, if I'm gonna be going to a public place, I need to think about what I would do for my own safety should someone decide to open fire in this establishment. And I say that that's a good thing because now I think people are waking up to what the reality is. This can affect every single one of us personally.
Right. And I do agree. I think more and more people are starting to look at this and they're looking at, okay, this isn't just Chicago. Like Republicans love to tell us that, oh, but the murders in Chicago. No, this is happening in small towns. It's happening in big towns. It's happening in rural towns. It's happening in urban towns. This is happening all over this country. There is no rhyme or reason. The only common factor is how easy it is to get your hands on a weapon of war. This particular instance, that happened out in California, this wasn't even an assault rifle. This was just an automatic pistol that the guy had, so it's all kinds of guns. It's all kinds of things involved, but guns are the only common denominator in every single one of these. And if we don't do something to address this, there's tighter regulations, by the way, on what I can put into my trash can. You can't put motor oil, you can't put charcoal ashes. There's tighter regulations on what you can throw away versus getting a gun. I mean, driving regulations. We tie driver's licenses and the privilege to drive a vehicle to so many things. I had my license suspended when I was 18 for getting busted smoking a cigarette. So my license was suspended for 30 days. You know what I mean? So yes, we have all of these super tight regulations on these other things because it's dangerous, because it's a privilege, I guess, but this misinterpretation of the Second Amendment that the courts gave us years ago has allowed this problem to just grow unchecked. And now we're facing the consequences every couple of days.
Every couple of days, you're absolutely right. So I didn't want this story to just kind of be under the radar. I wanted people to know that, this is still taking place. This is still happening. We had the spa shootings in Georgia, followed by what we experienced last week with the mass shooting, and now we have this mass shooting. But this one, I mean, again, the news cycle tends to get numb as more and more of these shootings come out. I tend to get numb as more of these shootings, happen. And it's because, part of it is, I think, a self-defense mechanism, right? It's a way of kind of protecting your own emotions, so you're not constantly disappointed with the aftermath of these shootings and the fact that there's complete inaction. And the only way we're gonna fix the system is if we do away with the legalized bribery and we stop allowing corporate interests, gun manufacturers, people who have a profit motive to dominate the conversation and the debate, because that's what's happening right now.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.